On March 1st through 3rd, 2004, an historic event took place in the Andrew Hope A&B Hall in Juneau. 20 elders gathered to talk about traditional tribal values. They came from communities across the region, committed to sharing what they knew and remembered from their lives and their clans. They are Tlinkits, Haidas, and Tsimshians. Men and women, eagles and ravens. For 3 days they showed respect for what each person had to say. They listened to each other's ideas, stories, and reflections. They held each other up, honored each other, and supported each other.
One of the challenges we have in our department is looking at needs in our region and also figuring out how to meet those needs. And continuously what surfaces is how we provide services to our children and families and to our elders. At the end of year 2, what we started to talk about, if we had the ideal as tribal social services for Tlingit and Haida, putting together a proposed model, what would that model look like when we go out to our communities and say, we want to wrap around you, we want to be here to be in a supportive role? What would that look like? And the unique thing that I have loved about the Circles of Care whole project is that it's really challenged us as project staff to look at a tribal level, what kinds of values what is that foundational values that we want in developing our programs? So the importance of this gathering is to hear from you as our respected elders, to help us learn from your wisdom.
We've had very good teachers from our own nation, whether it be the Haidas or the Tsimshians or other native peoples of Alaska and the Tlingit people as well. My teachers came from Yakutat, from Tlakwan, from Huna, Juneau, Sitka, Angoon, Cake, and all the other Tlingit people, even into Canada. We would say in Tlingit, just uhanakya ya Tlingit ani kaye hayati. We should say, we're not the only people in the world. There are other peoples, other peoples. This is a big world. There are many people in this world.
Gnachish anit kasane yichut kaaye yaqasti aya hayauti hane yakati. I'd like to explain what Tlingit value means to me as an individual. Tlingit value means my way of life as a Tlingit person. It's very important when we just say Tlingit values, it means our way of life, our way of life. That's what it means. It goes a long ways. What am I going to tell my children? What am I going to tell my grandchildren? What am I going to tell the children that I talk to in school? There's a lot of interest in our way of life by non-natives. There's a lot of students that come from Haines to Tlakwan School because they can see the values that we have as Tlingit people. I think the letter that some of you received yesterday from the Tlakwan School shows you that they have a deep interest and they want their culture to survive. Respect comes from the day we're born. Some of us get very valuable names given to us as a baby. The respect starts right there. When we have a gathering, a potlatch or something, that baby is equivalent to the oldest person in that gathering. My elders would say, especially my family, Iyanaku wadeka ayake yakene. Kawa babetso. Ishishka sayo de Jew de yake yakene wa tukane. Even as an elderly person, some Tom Jimmy used to call me tukane, a child. So respect goes pretty deep. And the one thing we need to remind ourselves in this day is the word Tlingit means human. And I think Ed Warren puts it pretty well when he says there's only one race in this world. It's human race. So we're all one, whether we're
Well said.
Norwegian, he said. We're still one race. So we need to really understand that word.
It seems like the cornerstone for Tlingit values has always been respect, and from that, everything else falls into place. So it seems to me in developing our own values from those that we have as guidelines for us, we should start off with respect, for self and others and for all creation, because I just spent a couple weeks ago with elders in Sitka, and they had plans for some totems, and there's a whole ceremony that you go through showing respect for the tree. We show respect for animals before we take them, so it includes, in my view, all creation. I remember as a small girl coming in from the south end of Wrangell, where our village used to be located, and my grandfather pointing out a huge rock that said that rock had a spirit, and it welcomed people into the village. So in the traditional view of life, there was reverence and respect for all life, and I think that should be the cornerstone of any development of values that we come away with. From the group that met yesterday, one of the recommendations was the utilization of our traditional legends as illustrations of these human values that we are identifying. So I really appreciated Marie's comments, because that would certainly be a story that we would utilize for item number 6.
I want to thank you for even having me be a part of this, because I think this is a real great time in our lives that we have an opportunity to come together. And I wish that most of our clans would do the same thing. We wouldn't be in some of the trouble that we're in if we can just come to the table like they used to in the olden days. Whenever they were going to have a party, all the house leaders and their leader would come together. They would discuss who was going to do what, who was going to say what. We don't do that anymore. And I think this forum that we had here this last 2.5 days should be a prime example of how we all came together, because we all came to a general consensus. We agreed. We were very mutual. We were very respectful to one another, as their feelings and how we said things. And that's how we used to be. And again, this has been one good time in this 2.5 days of my life, where I had an opportunity to talk about how Kusteyi, just exactly how our people are, and to know that we still care about our children.
The final product of their discussions and conversations is a list of 14 traditional tribal values. Each value was seriously weighed. Each word was important. It is the hope of these elders, and the hope of the Central Council of Tlingit Haida Tribes of Alaska, that this list becomes a legacy for the children of the region, the state, and the nation for years to come.